until she has remade our world into her own.
The film is called The Mummy, and it is directed by Kurtzman and stars Tom Cruise, Sofia Boutella, Annabelle Wallis, Jake Johnson, Courtney B. Vance, Marwan, Kenzari, and Crowe. And the story centers around Tom Cruise's character, who plays Nick Morton, a soldier for fortune who accidentally unearths Ahmanet, a betrayed Egyptian princess who was entombed under the desert for thousands of years. And with her constantly evolving powers, Morton, who has now been cursed, along with Halsey, must stop the resurrected monster as she embarks on a furious rampage through the streets of London. So this is basically a reboot of the Mummy franchise and the first monster movie that's a part of Universal's Dark Universe, with the next film slated to be Bride of Frankenstein. Now, one of the first things that I will say is this reboot did do some things better than the Brendan Fraser Mummy movies, but also failed in certain ways as well. Like I was just telling my bud on the phone, I felt like it was not as funny as the Brendan Fraser ones for the bit of comedic scenes that it did have in here, but it was a lot more frightening and intense than the Brendan Fraser Mummy movies. And that basically comes down to the performances here. And for me, again, as a whole, I thought the movie was okay. I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was a solid reboot. For me, some of the standout performances, Tom Cruise as Nick Morton. Cruise, he basically does what he always does, but he offers up some genuinely good moments, especially towards the end. Cruise seems to kind of somewhat play sometimes the same action hero throughout his movies, whether it's the Live, Die, Repeat movie, or as most people know it as Edge of Tomorrow. We have also Sofia Boutella as Princess Ahmanet. If I had to describe her, I would describe her as powerful and sexy, but very frightening at times. I thought Sofia did a powerful job as Princess Ahmanet. The limited role that she had within this film, I thought was very utilized. I thought she did a fantastic job as Ahmanet. And again, she had this powerful presence to her, and when she was not talking on screen, she was giving it her all and delivering it with her body language. Again, she said it all. She embodied this mummy, and again had some very frightening scenes at times, especially when she first makes her appearance as the mummy. So that's one of the things I also will credit them, is the mummy in this movie was a lot more creepy and a lot more scary, but at the same time she was kind of sexy. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I wouldn't mind her wrapping her bandages around me. Jake Johnson as our Sergeant Chris Vale. I thought he was funny, and he gave off this Griffin Dunn type feel. Basically something happens to him in the film, and then we kind of get an homage to American Werewolf in London, where he's basically playing this character like Griffin Dunn's character in that movie. And the scenes that he has with Nick Morton are very funny and very comedical, and I love the chemistry that the two had. They had a genuine relationship that I actually bought into. And speaking of relationships that I bought into, we get to Annabelle Wallis as Jennifer, or Jenny Halsey. She's passionate and naive, very naive, to the point where something happens in the film and she's just kind of like, you're gonna do this, and it's kind of like, yeah, don't you kind of see the operation that you're working for here? I thought she had some okay moments with Tom Cruise. When I first saw the trailer, I thought she was basically gonna be his love interest, and basically that's what she is for the most part, but she does offer up some genuine moments as well. And last but not least, Crowe as Henry Jackal. He was mysterious, and then one of the things I will like is when he let his inner hide out, he completely bought into the character and delivered a great performance. But one of the things I would say, just kind of like with Sofia Boutella's character, he was used very sparingly. He was mostly there just to move the story along. Now, some of the personal negatives that I had were certain scenes felt out of place, like certain scenes felt like they didn't lead into the next scene, like they didn't know how to move the story along, so they put like certain pieces of dialogue in there, and sometimes that dialogue didn't lead anywhere. The overall look and feel of the mummy was cool, but kind of a waste. Like I said, at times I felt like we spent more time with the human characters, but again, Boutella was still able to deliver a frightening performance as Ahmanet, along with Crowe as Dr. Jekyll and Jake Johnson as Chris Vale. Now, one of the other things that I want to add here that to me personally felt like a negative was the fact that they were trying to introduce way too much into this movie. Not as bad as the level of Batman Batman v Superman, but bad enough to where they were just seemed like they were throwing characters in here just to have them in here. Like, to me personally, I felt like Dr. Jekyll was very underutilized and he could have just been used for another movie. Again, sometimes the Mummy felt like she didn't need to be there, but the subtle references that they had, and of course the Easter eggs that they added in there, were cool to see though. So my final thoughts on the film: I thought it was a decent reboot and a decent kickoff to this brand new cinematic universe, and I'm kind of sort of excited to see what comes next, and I hope that the next film will be even better than this one. Overall, I would give the film a 5.5 out of 10. The few action scenes were okay and the story felt a little off at times, but some of the standout performances and the few frightening scenes helped move this movie along and make me want to see more from this dark universe. Oh, and as far as the IMAX 3D goes, nothing special happened in the movie that warrants you to see it in 3D. The IMAX is always cool, but for me, the few 3D scenes we got, they're basically showed in the trailer, but no, I wouldn't say pay extra for it. I would just say just see it in IMAX or just see it in regular 2D. But guys, let me know down in the comment section below, what do you think of The Mummy? Do you plan to check it out this weekend? Do you think it's gonna do fairly well in the box office? And are you excited for this new dark universe? Let me know these things down in the comment section below. As always, please remember to like, share, and comment, and make sure you subscribe to the channel if you want to see more movie reviews like this. And as I always say, remember to become a savage, stay a savage, and peace out, y'all.